on the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots across the country, because to Democrats, when stores are being looted, when police cars are being firebombed, when police officers are being murdered, that's not a crisis if they agree with the ideology of the criminals. The ideology of the criminals. The ideology of the criminals. The ideology of the criminals.
So, question, District Attorney Jenkins, is there anything legal that can be done for that 50%? That's half of the homeless population in San Francisco that just basically says, I don't care how many times you come out and see me this, I don't want to go. Is there any, what's the recourse?
So I think the recourse is obviously outside of the criminal justice system, but...
Is it?
It is. I mean, the criminal justice system is...
somebody can just say, no, I'm camping here.
Well, no, they have to be made to be uncomfortable, is the truth of the matter. We cannot make it comfortable for them to pitch a tent on our sidewalks and stay. And so that's the theory of being able to now respond and say, you have been offered shelter, you have refused it, now you must move. And we have to stay vigilant.
Then that would be the police chief. You'd be the one out there telling them to move, right? Your force?
Yes, correct. So,
and I don't think the police really want to do that.
No, they don't.
The laws that are enforceable, particularly ADA compliance, blocking sidewalks, and those types of things, we have to enforce. We have to enforce.
Doors on an old Leavenworth County prison may open some new potential. There's a proposal now to save a section of the old Lansing Correctional Facility from demolition for tourists. Fox 4's Sean McDowell looks into the possibility of the old prison unlocking some tourist money.
The future ended for many prisoners at the Lansing Correctional Facility, which opened for incarcerations in the 1860s. However, plans to demolish the old jail might be pushed aside as local historians are pushing to use the prison as a tourist destination. Deborah Bates Lamborn leads the Lansing Historical Society.
I think it gives people a place to come and actually see a prison in a prison town. I mean, for years we've been known as a prison town. I think we'll see some good numbers of tourists.
In 1970, country music legend Johnny Cash performed in the prison's auditorium. Leavenworth County Attorney Todd Thompson and his colleagues have sent offenders here throughout the years.
It's an opportunity for people to be able to visit in hopes that they actually don't want to stay or serve here. I want this to be a demonstration that puts them in awe of how bleak life could be if they go down the wrong path.
As of Thursday, around 2,400 inmates are still housed in a separate building, of course. This plan still needs the approval of the Kansas Department of Corrections. And as of now, there's no telling when that could come. Sean McDowell, Fox 4, working for you.
Folks, I got to be dead honest with you guys. I am a real sucker for a really good cult documentary. I have read and studied about cults my entire life. I've read every book there is about Jonestown, watched every documentary, every one about Waco, Texas. Studied the Manson family since I was a little kid. I've got a stack of books in there on my table. 3 of them about the Manson family. I've always been fascinated by cults and how that a cult leader could get control over a group of people's mind, not just one person. Not like they could just convince one, but they could convince an entire group of people to do things against their own interest. They could convince an entire group of people to do things that they otherwise would never do. And they could go so far as to convince another group of people to kill on their behalf and to end their own life at their request. Someone having that kind of mind control and power over people has always fascinated me. At the same time, I've always studied politics. And I noticed how politicians managed to convince people to vote against their own interest. I watched people in my part of the world for years vote against their own interest. And I started to see a pattern. I noticed that the politicians were using religion. You know, for years, politicians has used religion, and for years, the Republican Party have been the party of morals and of values, and, you know, we're the party of family, and we're the party of save the children, protect the children, and blah, blah, blah. And while we all know that's just stage props and bullshit for them, at the same time, they were never, I mean, we knew they were full of shit, but they weren't cult-like yet. They hadn't graduated up to a cult. They were just your typical everyday run-of-the-mill hypocrites. I used to sit and say to myself, man, what would ever happen if a cult leader or a deranged religious cult was able to take control of a political party and was able to seize that kind of power? What would it be like if that were to happen? And now I'm seeing firsthand what that's like as it happens right in front of my face. You got Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, standing up in front of a crowd, talking into a live microphone and saying that he is now the new Moses. And that should terrify the living shit out of any reasonable person that the House Speaker of the United States believes in this level of bullshit. But Republicans want to win, and the church wants to control everything. They want to control all aspects of government and all aspects of our lives. So you got to work Donald Trump into this and see where he fits as the ringleader of this madness. Well, Donald Trump is trying to get reelected to dodge all accountability. They're not indicting Donald Trump during the middle of his campaign. He's campaigning to avoid responsibility and accountability. And so he wants to get back into power, and the church wants the control over the government. And from day one, Donald Trump and the church have been using each other. So he's using the church to his advantage to gain power and now regain power. And he will throw the church a bone, and he will give them power in order for him to have power. So it's a situation where you have Trump, who wants to have power, and the church wanting to have power. So the church will throw out all their morals. They'll throw out all their standards. Donald Trump don't have to live up to any of them because they believe that he is fulfilling prophecy. Book out there called Donald Trump, Son of Man, the Christ. They say he actually wasn't talking about himself in third person. He was talking about Trump, because if you read what the prophecies of the Son of Man were and see what Trump's done, Trump is fulfilling that shit. That is how far they're going. These religious, crazy cults that, yes, makes for an entertaining documentary, has now infiltrated our government. And we're supposed to be okay with that. And there's people out there, oh man, you're getting too bent out of shape over this. You're reading too much into it. No, I'm seeing a grown man. Stand up and believe that God spoke to him and told him he's the new Moses. Let me try it out. I'll tell you what, let me try it out. I'll walk out in front of a room full of Republicans, and I'll say God has spoke to me. I'll tell them that I heard God's voice speak loud and clear, and God said to me to come forth and to tell all of you that Black Lives Matter. God told me to come forth and tell you that gay and trans people are his children. And that you should love them and treat them with all the respect in the world. And God said that we should have free health care and free education for everybody. Universal basic income, everybody gets an Xbox. You know what you guys would say? You're crazy, man, God ain't talking to you. But you're perfectly okay with God talking to Mike Johnson if it suits your political needs, and you don't realize just how batshit insane that it is. It's insanity. We're going to call it. I'm not going to say this is interesting. I'm not going to say this is a both sides argument. I do not want a man holding any office. I don't want him. I don't want the manager of McDonald's to have God speaking to him, let alone the House Speaker, 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 and let alone the President of the United States, and let alone the President of the United States, and let alone the President of the United States, and let alone the President of the United States, and let alone the President of the United States, and let alone the President of the United States. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. I just want to get back to just two fucking crooked politicians bullshitting me. Okay? Can we just have that back? Can we just have two politicians up there? Yeah, I know they're fucking bullshitting me. Do we have to have the Manson family up there? Do we have to have the Manson family up there? Do we have to have the Manson family up there? Do we have to have the Manson family up there? Do we have to have the Manson family up there? Do we? I'm not gonna dog the Manson family. At least the Manson family listen to good music. I mean, at least Charlie listened to the White Album. I mean, there's that. I mean, there's that. I mean, there's that. I mean, there's that. Mike Johnson don't even have good taste in music. He's a total loser. Mike Johnson don't even have good taste in music. He's a total loser. Mike Johnson don't even have good taste in music. He's a total loser. Mike Johnson don't even have good taste in music.